Om. 10 Commandments, Principles of Arya Samaj, Part 9. The third principle, the Scripture of Truth, Section 2. The evidence of archaeology. Recent archaeological discoveries have carried the origin of man 2 million of years back hence. The sum of the Aryas today is 1,096 crore 8 lakhs 53,024, meaning that the appearance of man in the present cycle is so immemorially old. Let us cite here only a few evidences of science establishing the hoary antiquity of man. In Nevada, that wonder house of Dame Nature's relics, John T. Reid has discovered a human footprint and well-made shoe sole, which he claims to be 5 million years old from his geological knowledge of the rocks in which it was embedded. Microphotographers and analytical chemists of the Rockefeller Institute have shown the stitches, the twist of thread, holes for sieving, and size of the thread finer than we use today for shoes and stronger. This shoe sole was accompanied by footprints of dinosaurs and their bones. Professor Reid and his associates are to be congratulated on their careful scientific analysis and their generous recognition of the age and excellence of the work and the product of as high a skill as is exhibited at Lynn or Brockton's, Massachusetts. From the Colorado Rockies comes another recent discovery, a figure claimed to be of pre-glacial man represented as seated with a tablet on which are drawn characters and figures which Mr. Jacon, curator of the Colorado Historical and Natural History Society, declares are the most remarkable likeness of dinosaurs he has ever seen. The signs and face resembled those of the Aztecs. Professor Van Tuyl believes the statue and the rocks near which it was found date back to archaic times. Red-headed skeletons in Arizona and beautifully wrought golden images recently found in the Ohio Valley, the American Valley of the Kings, where King Tut's western contemporary is being sought, cause archaeologists to echo the words of Catherine Tingley that America is older than Egypt and of increasing numbers who claim its civilization was once superior. Reference Herbert Cook in the Theosophical Path for August 1923. In the issue for October 1925 of the same monthly, the report of the Doheny scientific expedition to the Havasupai Canyon of northern Arizona, published by Professor S. Hubbard, curator of archaeology of the Oakland Museum, Oakland, California, was commented on by students. We make these experts from his highly interesting article. There is one account of handsome polished pestle picked up by an expert out of the old Pliocene river gravel in Calvaras country, which admittedly cannot be explained away by any theory except deliberate fraud on the part of the geologist, and that the suggestion has not been offered. The famous image from Narupa, Idaho is another puzzle which defies the theory of man's recent appearance on Earth. This little clay statue was brought up from a depth of 320 feet during the boring of a shaft through tertiary rocks, and it seems impossible to deny that it is about as old as the Calaveras remains. Then there is the problem of the pottery found beside a mastodon's tusks and horse's teeth at Charleston, and the pottery and scattered bones at Vero, Florida, and the boleadours from the Argentine, polished stone balls with cut grooves resembling those used today in pairs for throwing down fleeing game, which Professor Sennett and his colleagues of the University of Buenos Aires are sure are tertiary. The pictographs are made in an unusual way. Instead of being painted on the rocks, they are incised by a sharp tool through a very hard block of coating on the vertical red sandstone cliffs called locally desert varnish, and formed by the action of a trace of iron in the strata. They stand out in vivid red upon the black background. Owing to their position, they were difficult to photograph, and a platform standing out from the cliffs had to be made to get good results. The three most important drawings represent, according to the Professor Hubbard's opinion, an elephant attacking a man, a group of ibexes, and an animal quite evidently intended to represent a dinosaur, the well-known Diplodocus with its long snake-like neck and powerful tail. To appreciate the significance of these pictographs, if the interpretation of their outlines given by Professor Hubbard is correct, and he is firmly convinced that no other is reasonable, it should be understood a. That it is not considered established that man in America was contemporary with any kind of elephant, which Professor Stuffer, geologist at the University of Minnesota, recently declared had possibly disappeared 1 lakh years ago. B. That the ibex is unknown as a living animal in the Western Hemisphere. And C. That the dinosaurs are believed to have disappeared in the Cretaceous period at the end of the age of reptiles, not less than from 7 to 10 million years at a conservative estimate. The elephant, ibex, and dinosaur carvings were not the only significant figures observed. On the same wall were a row of symbols, very deeply cut and resembling the astronomical symbol of the planet Mars. Professor Hubbard says desert varnish had commenced to form in the incisions, indicating an unbelievable antiquity, an antiquity greater than the others. These symbols may be of great importance and evidence of the race which recorded them. Man civilized from the first. These discoveries testify not only to the fact that man existed as early as, and possibly even earlier than, tens of millions of years ago, but also that his primitive life was to a very high degree cultured and refined, so much so that he was proficient in some of the most modern civilized arts. He was a good draftsman, sewed shoes more finely than even his descendants do today, and could manufacture polished and glossed balls, piquets, etc., etc.